On November 14th, 2015, 12 other students and I left for a 28-day long trip to Xizhou, which is a small village located in China's southwest province of Yunnan. While living in Xizhou, all students investigate a topic of high personal interest. This investigation is called our Inquiry Project. When I first learned about the Inquiry Project, I had no idea what I wanted to investigate. But after reading through a list of possible topics, I concluded on textile production, or more specifically, bamboo weaving. Mr. T and I discussed my topic, and we decided that bamboo weaving as a topic on its own is quite boring. So in order to make the project unique, I decided to study the economics of bamboo weaving in Xizhou. I did a variety of background research on this topic so that I had general knowledge before leaving for the village, although, in the end, it did not matter because, after spending only 2 weeks in Xizhou, I decided to change my topic. You may be asking why I changed the topic, and it's all due to a man named Mr. Wong, who I'll tell you about later in my story. The topic I had changed to was still related to bamboo weaving, but rather than focusing on the economic or business side, I decided to focus on the techniques and skills required to make a bamboo basket. As I reflect on my journey of bamboo basket weaving in Xizhou, one must consider my initial explorations of the topic, early meetings with the Wong family, and the process of making the basket. When recounting my time in Xizhou, the first thing to consider is my initial explorations of the bamboo weaving topic. As I stated before, my original inquiry project topic was the economics of bamboo basket weaving in Xizhou. I like this topic for multiple reasons. One reason being that bamboo on its own is already really interesting as it has so many uses, and you can see these uses all around you. Another reason is because I felt as though I could learn a lot about the locals' living conditions, as well as a general idea of their income, by simply asking them questions about the economics of their bamboo weaving business. After the step of choosing my topic, I had to begin doing some background research so as to establish some general knowledge of my topic. At first, I assumed that there'd be plenty of information on the economics of bamboo weaving, but I was very wrong. There was extremely limited information on every aspect of my topic. I tried searching using a variety of keywords such as bamboo weaving or bamboo weaving economics, but the results were limited. By the end of my research, I had received the most information from the work of a previous alumni student, Vanessa P., who was a part of the Fearless group. Due to the fact that I had acquired barely any knowledge of bamboo weaving from my background research, I was really looking forward to talking with the locals in the village. After arriving in Xizhou, we began going out to collect information from local contacts, and to my satisfaction, they provided me with much desired information. I was learning so many facts about the ways the people price their items, how much they pay for their materials, as well as the amount of income they make. I found all of this very interesting, and if you would like to learn more about this information, you can check out the Phase 3 section of my inquiry project. I continued to learn new facts, numbers, and percentages about the economics of bamboo weaving in Xizhou, but this all changed when I met Mr. Wong. In order to fully capture my time in Xizhou, one must take account of my early meetings with the Wong family. It is this part of my story where I had the idea to change my topic from the economics of bamboo weaving to the physical weaving process. I had been having a teacher support with Mr. T when we stopped by Mr. Wong's house. I had asked Mr. Wong the same questions about economics that I had been asking all of the other locals, and I received pretty much the same answers. After I finished talking to him, I was invited into his house, and while inside, I met his grandson who was weaving a large basket. Mr. Wong offered me a try at weaving, and I kindly accepted the offer. I sat down and quickly picked up the technique of the weaving process. Mr. Wong said that I had very good technique, and then went on to ask if I would be interested in learning how to weave an entire basket. This is the point in my journey where my inquiry project changed. I had told Mr. Wong that I would think about his offer and then get back to him. As promised, 2 days later I went back to Mr. Wong's house and told him that I would be very interested in learning how to weave a basket. When I had accepted his offer and decided to switch my topic from economics to the weaving process, I had also decided that I was going to change my final product. Originally, I was not quite sure what my final product was going to be, but I never would have imagined that it could be a bamboo woven basket. Now I was open to this awesome opportunity where I could have my final product be the bamboo basket that I had made based on Mr. Wong's teachings. This was an extremely unique moment. From that day forward, I began going to the Wong family nearly every other day to begin working on my final product. The first time I came, you could sense the tension and uncomfortableness between the Wong family and me. To them, I was this white girl who they had never seen before, and I was suddenly coming to their house to weave a basket? For me, I was a foreigner in this village, this house. I could not speak their language, I didn't know the family, and I did not know how to weave a basket. The only person in the house who I was somewhat comfortable with was Mr. Wong, as I was already acquainted with him. This awkwardness continued until the second visit, but after that, the family had accepted me, and I had become a part of their everyday routine. Reflecting back on my journey through the inquiry process, I would not be able to complete my story without sharing the process of making a basket. The process of making the basket can be divided into four parts: the cutting of the bamboo, the making of the base, the making of the body, and the completing of the top. The first step, cutting the bamboo, is fairly simple. You take one stick of bamboo and you continue to slice it in half until it is the required length and thickness, which can vary depending on which part of the basket you're cutting the bamboo for. The second step of making the base is not that hard either. There is quite a bit to memorize. You must first lay down the bamboo strips and then weave in the other bamboo pieces across, creating somewhat of a checkerboard design. You then weave much thinner bamboo along the thicker bamboo that is sticking out, and this is the transition to the body of the basket. You continue to weave the bamboo in and out along the large bamboo pieces sticking out of the base. Continue to weave around the basket and slowly begin to bend the basket sides upwards so as to define the shape of the basket early on. A few important tips to remember when weaving the body of the basket is to constantly separate the support bamboos as well as pull the bamboo that you're threading through every time you round the corner of the basket to ensure that it is tight. Now on to the final step of finishing the top of the basket. You first break off the large bamboos until they are all around the same length. Next, you twist them in towards you and then tuck them behind the tall bamboos that are on the right side. You continue to do this all the way around until you have finished the rim. The next part is quite easy, as it is just like sewing. First, you take the cut piece of bamboo and coil it onto the inside of the basket, right under the rim. Then you take this piece of metal, and in the back there's a place where you insert a thin piece of bamboo. Once you have inserted the bamboo, you begin threading the bamboo around the rim of the basket to hold the coiled bamboo attached to the rim. Make sure that you tie a knot at the end of the bamboo strand so that it stays in place. Repeat this step for 2 strands of bamboo, and by that point you should have sewed around the rim about 2 times. Once you are finished with that, you have completed your basket. Making the basket was not that hard once you get the hang of it, but the hardest part is definitely the base. I struggled with preparing the bamboo because in order to prepare it, you must twist it and bend it over in this difficult manner so that it is ready to weave. I consistently snapped the bamboo that Mr. Wong would give me, and I felt really bad, for one, wasting his resources, and two, for not being able to catch on to the technique or be as professional as he was. Another part of the basket that was a real struggle was cutting the bamboo in the very beginning of the process. I would often cut the bamboo too thin, snap the bamboo, or cut my fingers. This was annoying because I was still not fully comfortable with the family, and I continued to mess up. At some points, I felt like a true idiot, but I was determined, and I pushed through. After becoming more comfortable with the family, I would try to communicate with them, and they would try to communicate with me. This was proven difficult, as I spoke very limited Chinese, and they spoke no English. We relied on sign language, show and tell, as well as the minimal Chinese phrases that I knew, such as 对的, which means yes or correct, 好, which means good, 不好, which translate to not good, and 厉害, which means you're very good. But it was really interesting to communicate that way and connect with people through alternate approaches. I found it truly amazing how I had connected with the Wong family through simple smiles, thumbs up, minimal Chinese, and sign language. It was a really beautiful thing, and it gave me such a wonderful feeling to have been able to establish a friendship without much talking. As I reflect on my journey of bamboo basket weaving in Shizhou, one must consider my initial explorations of the topic, early meetings with the Wong family, and the process of making the basket. It was all of these things that made my trip so wonderful and enjoyable. I had originally come to Microcampus thinking that I was going to learn a bunch of numbers and facts about bamboo weaving and then put the information into a Wikipedia article, but my trip became much, much more than that. I experienced amazing things that I could not have imagined at the beginning of the trip. I was accepted into a family of complete strangers. They allowed me to become a part of their everyday life and their everyday routines. They are willing to teach a random person a craft that has been in their family for generations. They truly accepted me and welcomed me warmly. There would be times when I would show up to the Wong house, be greeted by smiles from the family, enjoy some tea with Mr. Wong, play, and sometimes fight with Mr. Wong's great granddaughter, and then get to work on my basket, as though I was a part of the Wong family, as though I was one of them. I was able to capture moments where I would be sitting down working on my basket, and I would have Mr. Wong next to me working on his basket, while Mr. Wong's daughter is sitting behind me splitting the bamboo. It was these ordinary tasks and these simple moments that truly made this trip spectacular. It wasn't the project that I put together at the end. It wasn't being away for a month with my friends. It wasn't even the final basket that I made. It was the thumbs up that Mr. Wong would give me. It was the smiles and laughs shared among me and the family. It was the reassuring how or good from Mr. Wong.
How?
It was the feeling of being part of something greater than you that made this trip absolutely unforgettable and a once-in-a-lifetime experience.